What if the most powerful people in history didn't rise to the top, but were trained for it? Not trained in the way we usually think, with universities or business schools, but trained through something far older. Through networks, through lineage, through systems designed to preserve power across generations. For thousands of years, leaders have appeared to emerge from chaos. New kings, new dynasties, new empires. But look closely enough, and something strange begins to appear. The same families, the same alliances, the same patterns of influence, repeating again and again across centuries. So the real question isn't who holds power today. The real question is, who trained them to hold it? Throughout history, power has rarely been random. Kings didn't just appear overnight. Financial empires didn't rise out of thin air. Political dynasties didn't accidentally dominate entire nations. Behind nearly every major center of influence lies something deeper. Networks of families, institutions, and shared belief systems. These networks didn't just accumulate power, they preserved it. They passed it down. And most importantly, they trained the next generation to use it. Because real power isn't just about wealth or authority. It's about understanding how systems work, how economies move, how people think, how narratives shape entire societies. And that kind of knowledge isn't learned overnight, it's cultivated. Across ancient civilizations, one detail shows up again and again: genealogy. Entire historical records were dedicated not to battles or inventions, but to family lines detailed for you in El, origin of the blood. Kings tracing their ancestry back through centuries, dynasties linking themselves to earlier rulers. Power justified through lineage. At first glance, it seems ceremonial. But when you think about it, genealogy served a much more practical purpose. It created continuity. Because if power is passed through families, then knowledge travels with it. Strategies, connections, resources, all transferred quietly from one generation to the next. While the outside world sees sudden rises to power, the reality may be decades, even centuries of preparation. Imagine growing up inside that environment. From childhood, you're surrounded by people who understand global finance, political strategy, institutional control. You're introduced to networks that most people never even know exist. By the time you step into leadership, you're not learning the system. You've been inside it your entire life. And that changes everything. Because power stops being something you chase. Instead, it becomes something you inherit. Something you refine. Something you're expected to carry forward. In that sense, the network itself becomes the teacher. History gives us countless examples of influence surviving enormous change. Empires collapse. Revolutions sweep through nations. Governments fall. Yet somehow the same families, financiers, and institutions continue to appear in positions of influence generation after generation. Power doesn't disappear, it adapts, it moves into new structures, new institutions, new economic systems. And while the visible surface of society changes, the deeper networks often remain surprisingly stable, almost like a hidden architecture behind the world we see. This leads to an uncomfortable question, one that historians, researchers, and philosophers have debated for generations. How much of the world's leadership truly emerges from open competition? And how much is shaped by networks that have been quietly preparing their successors for decades? Because if power is trained, inherited, and cultivated across generations, then leadership may not be as unpredictable as it appears. It may be far more structured, far more intentional, and far older than most people realize. Empires rise and fall, governments change, new leaders step onto the world stage. But behind every era, the same question lingers. Who built the system they stepped into? And who trained them to run it? Because the most powerful networks in history don't just control wealth or politics, they control something far more important: the next generation of power. Find out more in El, Origin of the Blood, links in the description.